The following is a sports narrative special presentation.
And the pick is finally in. It's currently being brandished by some walkie-talkied individual, taking it up to the commissioner's podium. A big, humongous pick.
Now, to find out whose name is on that card, here is the commissioner, ready to make history.
With the first pick.
And welcome to another fine episode of the Sports Narrative Show, live from Mobile, Alabama, here at the Reese's Senior Bowl. I am in the Mobile Convention Center, as you can see behind me, pretty much all by my lonesome tonight, as this place clears out pretty well. All the players are next door in the hotel, and the rain is falling, but at least it's not ice and snow like we've got back home in Dallas. And times are good. Been through a couple of practices, got a little rained on today. We've got a lot of news and notes from 2 days of Senior Bowls and interviews. I hope that you've seen some of our content out there on the socials. I put out some Twitter and some Facebook things at, of course, the Sports Narrative and at Sports Narrative and the brand new Sports Narrative TikTok because, the children. TikTok, like Wu-Tang, is for the children. And we've been putting out a ton of content there. Lots of interviews, lots of pictures, sights, sounds from practice, all kinds of stuff. Because with TikTok, the Chinese own it, so you can get away with anything. So that's kind of been fun. So please go check that out as well at Sports Narrative. The Sports Narrative will pull that up. Give us a follow, like a bunch of videos. We need all the help we can get on that front. But, of course, the sound that you hear, a man talking there, laughing at my silly jokes, that would be the one, the only, Darren Boyd. How are you, sir?
I'm stuck here in Dallas trying to survive the Ice-Ageddon 2022 that's about to happen.
Yes.
It's 33 degrees here in Denton, and it's not going to end well for us. But, yeah.
It promises to be an interesting bit here. Oh, wow. I just realized that I don't have the ability to split screen us. That's weird. But thanks, Switcher. Whatever.
Yeah, no one wants to see my ugly face anyway.
That's a good point. Yeah, so there we are there. There's the socials. Yeah, well, I don't know why. That's weird. It all went away. We don't have any ability to cross-promote. How strange.
Yeah, no.
Oh, that's okay. I can just bounce it back and forth. It's all good. Here, we'll just...
Well, you are the esteemed producer.
Well, let's just hit it on shuffle every 10 seconds. So we'll just go from there and let it rotate itself around. So you'll get to see.
Let's roll.
There's Mobile.
As the great Freddie Coleman says, let the good times roll.
There it is. There's Darren Boyd. All right. Well, we're just going to let this thing rotate through cameras, and we'll just get rolling here. So let's talk about the Senior Bowl practices thus far. I arrived here on Monday night and rolled in with my credential. Everything went quite well. And so got up and running. We've had, today we had the media breakfast where we had the big group and got some nice shrimp and grits from a local eatery here.
Ooh, for breakfast?
Yeah, for breakfast. Because
that excites me.
That's how they do it in the Gulf Coast, man. It's good stuff. Couple days of practices, got some nice... Like I said, some nice insights. We got a lot of winners and losers for the first couple of days. A bunch of players we're just going to roll through and talk about that. But the city of Mobile, Jim Nagy and what he's put on, we had an opening press conference with him the first day. And, dude, what he's doing down here is great. If you have the means, I highly recommend getting a chance to come down here and just experience this. You're in a stadium with, all these NFL execs. I saw, obviously, the Jets staff, the Lions. Now, this year it's a little different than it was the last time we were here because it was used to, all the players all the media guys just walked down on the field, and you were there with all the scouts and all that stuff. Well, the scouts don't like that stuff. So they're now segregated on the other side of the stadium. All the media's on this side. There's a bunch of like weird random podcasters and things happening off over to this side, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun. So like I said, I've seen some people that I know, and got some really nice interviews lined up for tomorrow. We're going to talk to the analytics guys who have a bunch of cool info on that. And I got to meet Darren, the very first female scout in the NFL, who worked for the New York Jets, and her claim to fame
Oh,
is
I
that
forgot her name.
yes, her claim, I don't have it written down. Her claim to fame is that
Failed you.
in the second round, she said, "Oh, they're like, who are we going to draft?" And they said, she said you should draft Mark Gastineau. And that worked out pretty well for him. So,
Never heard of him.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's pretty good, wasn't he?
yeah, a little bit. Marty Lyons in the first round,
Now, rumor says
Mark
that you
Gastineau
were
in the second.
posted up right by the NFL Network table for radio. That's
am.
what the rumor says.
I am.
I
in
can't
fact.
confirm.
It is literally right next to me. There are two guys, one on a computer and one guy on a phone. I've been on WNSP several times. In fact, as they said on the morning drive with Mark and Lee, I was the first two-time guest because I came on before the press conferences, and then I came on right afterward because we had to break the Brady news from Monday. So yeah, it was kind of fun. So doing that, all types of good times down here. Like I said, I've got, let's see, there's Baton Rouge next to us, then iHeartRadio. So, yeah, all kinds of great people here. So we've got more content we're going to be putting out. First time we've got all the equipment set up and the whole shebang here. So, all right, let's get rolling, Mr. Boyd. Let's. I almost called you Feltman,
Let's do this.
which is hilarious. Yeah.
You're the opposites of the polar spectrum, but that's beside the point.
Well, yeah, I mean, Mr. Feltman was supposed to be riding here shotgun with me, but last minute bail at those
Next
things.
year,
Those
gonna make it
things,
happen.
those things happen. So, without further ado, let's get rolling here on the Sports Narrative Show and talk about this Senior Bowl class and all the things that we have seen through a couple days of practice on the Sports Narrative Show. Well, I don't know how much of the Senior Bowl practices you've been able to watch on ESPN, but it has been a pretty fun time. I have to say, I got to watch a little bit of it today because I bailed out from all the rain at the Lions practice in the second half, and it was there was good coverage. They had Dan Campbell up there with him, and McShay and all the.
Did he bite your knees?
No, he did not. But they.
Okay, you're safe.
Yeah, they did. They were doing a great job and really getting a pretty good insight into practice and all that stuff. So yeah, I was real impressed. Real impressed with what they've done. So let's talk about what we've seen thus far. As I've got a nice big fat list of winners and losers. So we'll start there, and Boyd, just jump in and comment as you see fit.
All right.
All right. So the winners category for quarterbacks is controversial because this is a group that. So Kenny Pickett's obviously the big name here, right? And of course all all that implies is all about the craziness about hand size, and he didn't want to measure it, and he's double jointed, and I don't know, man. He answered some questions about it, and he basically said, they're like, so you're gonna make your hand bigger? And he's like, yeah, I'm supposed to do some stretches and whatever. I mean, I'm sure he's called it Baker Mayfield's guy to get that done. So hey, cool, whatever works. Does it matter? Kinda. It's one of those things of, is he more likely to fumble the ball if he has small hands? Of course. That just makes logical sense. He always wears the glove. I haven't got to see the glove up close, but I have no idea how much super glue is on that thing. And of course, the question we wanted to ask him, if we'd gotten a chance to ask him directly, which is, he just got engaged. Did he wear the gloves to ask for the proposal?
Very nice.
Hopefully,
by the way,
we'll have time for that.
Congratulations to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's doing well for himself. Go figure. So I would say, but this is the thing about it. From this first moment that I saw him walk through a room and all this stuff, he's just one of those guys. Like, okay, so when you're around like big time quarterbacks, like, dude, they have an aura, like they have a presence. It's those types of people that if you're in a room with them, you know where they are in the room at any moment, right? Because you just feel the presence, right? That's not the case with Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett's a guy, and I mean, look, the guys are going to play for him. I think he's a leader. I think he's good like that. I don't think there's any questions there. But I don't think he's not a superstar. He's a guy. There's a
No, he's
right.
he's progressed well, and he's a dude.
Yeah, and look,
Can you win with him? Sure.
absolutely.
Can you win with Jimmy G? Sure.
Right, exactly, and that's a great comp because I think that's kind of the same feel you're going to get there. I think that's exactly what that is. So, yeah, I think he's a dude. So, into the void of lacking a superstar quarterback, I don't think Kenny Pickett has, and in practices, he's been okay. The ball doesn't really pop; it's just kind of there. Now it's on target. It's good. It's fine, right? But again, if you were going to be, I'm the number one guy, put a stake in the ground, Houston Texans, you better draft me. Detroit Lions, you better draft me. He hasn't done that. So because of that, I didn't put him as a winner of this thing. He's been fine. Who I did put down as a winner is a couple of different guys. One is Carson Strong. And I think it's because...
we're going to fight in a minute.
I know. I think it's because my expectations were so low for him. He came in as the sixth quarterback of six, right? He came in as the guy who, oh yeah, and Carson Strong. But what you've seen out of him at practice, at least, especially on day one. Now, day two, he had some struggles today with the rain and all of that stuff. But on day one, he hit the ball popped out of his hands. He was making big throws, and now look, he still doesn't have, like I've always said, he's got negative mobility. Like that's kind of his thing, right? Now I will say he wore a knee brace for most of this year, and it is something that he just now kind of took the knee brace off at the very end of the season, and so that's something that I think is evaluators need to take into account. Moved around okay. He's not great throwing on the run. He is a pure pocket passer type of dude.
Yes, he is.
But it looked pretty good. And when you're looking at a class that's all just kind of pretty good works, right? So I thought he had good practices. He was great in interviews. We got a nice interview with him, again, on the old TikToks for Sports Narrative, so come find me.
This means I have to go to TikTok?
It does. That is exactly what that means. Sorry,
I'm
sir.
47 years old. I think I'll be banned from TikTok.
Well, I will say, it may not be the healthiest place for you. What you should do is follow a bunch of NFL accounts and stay away from everything else. Just saying. Okay.
I always listen to you. You're my leader.
A couple other guys that did well, honorable mentions in the quarterback category for the positive. Malik Willis has looked like he belongs. Now, the throwing motion's erratic. He's got a lot to learn as far as not bailing out to the right like he wants to do every time. But the athleticism is there. The arm is there. He's got the best arm of anybody here in Mobile. So, he's a project. He's a guy that needs to sit a year. But he sits a year, could be okay. So there's that. And then there is Sam Howell. Sam Howell has all of the physical tools that you want in a quarterback. Now, his footwork is a hot mess. There's no doubt about that. However, what I would say to that is that he is... I'm going to switch that to 15 seconds. Boom. He is a guy who... he's got, like I said, he can make all the throws. The ball zips out of his arms. If it's not Malik Willis, it's Sam Howell who has the best arm. But again, the footwork's erratic. The accuracy can be erratic at times. And also, he's a bit of a quiet dude. And that's one of the other things that's fascinating about this. if you asked me if I met all of them and had never watched them play football, and you asked me which is the best of these quarterbacks based on personality, again, I might say Carson Strong. Um, just because he's that guy. Now, I will say, for Desmond Ritter, who, by the way, is going to end up in the next category, his teammates love him. There's a bunch of Cincinnati guys here, and they love that dude. They will go to war for that dude, and that dude is a leader of men. Now, the problem is he doesn't have the physical skills. Like, if you took all 6 of these guys and you smashed them together, you'd have a really good quarterback. But, unfortunately, they don't let you do that. So I put Ritter down in my losers category. I just thought he looks like a backup quarterback. I saw some comps to him in Gardner Minshew, is what they said today on ESPN, and I was like, you know what? Not a bad comparison. A guy you could probably win with, but he's just kind of a guy. Moves around okay, can get some things done, but he's not a guy you want to hand a $4 billion franchise to. My other one is Bailey Zappi. Look, the kid set all kinds of records, but he has been swimming out here a little bit, and I think that's kind of been on notice. All right, so there's the quarterbacks. Any questions there, Darren?
Well, I guess with our analysis, are we just old school, old men, crusty old men that we want a quarterback that like Dan Marino that comes in the room and is like, all right, boys, here's what we're going to do? Or can we have a passive leader or passive-aggressive leader and like, all right, I'm a Mac Jones. I'm going to go ahead and handle business and see what happens.
Well, let me say it to you this way. One of the biggest knocks when you had a guy like Marcus Mariota coming out of school was the fact that he had never called plays in a huddle. And the first time you're going to call a play in a huddle as a 22-year-old kid is in front of 30-year-old men who have been playing football their whole life, right? So I think that is a thing. So to answer your question, it matters. It matters that you have the personality, I think, as well. Now, again, Desmond Ritter is a guy who I think people will go to war for. I think Kenny Pickett is a guy that people will go to war for. Are they the superstar, flamboyant, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady type of quarterback? No, they are not. But can you win with them? Sure. Are any of them first round worthy in a draft that would be a normal first round? No. No, I would say not. I mean, maybe Kenny Pickett at the back of the first round. Maybe Carson Strong if you wanted to take a chance. Maybe Malik Willis if you're willing to put in some time. But these guys are all going to get overdrafted. But if I was ranking the guys that I've seen here right now, I still think, I mean, Kenny Pickett's a 24-year-old rookie. He's ready to go right now. If Carolina drafts him and starts him week 1, I wouldn't be shocked. With the 6th pick. At the same time, if Kenny Pickett lasts to pick 20 and the Steelers drafted him, I wouldn't be shocked. So it's going to be a fascinating draft, and more.
Well, they did pass on Dan Marino, so
yeah, there you go.
That's the Steelers for you.
More on that in a little while as we get into some other draft talk. Okay, let's move on. We got a lot of positions to get through. Okay, running backs. Quite a few here that popped. Abram Smith, the Baylor kid, I loved. I thought he was great in pass protection. So he actually, I don't know if you know this, Darren, but he actually, not last year, but the year before, in the middle of the season, they had lost both of their starting linebackers. He switched to linebacker, and he played linebacker for Baylor down the stretch 2 years ago.
That's dedication.
Yeah, I mean, the kid will do anything. He's great. He was great out of the backfield today. Like I said, in pass pro, he loves the contact. I thought he, of all the runners on the national team, was the best. The honorable mention there is Jerome Ford. Ford really popped at times. They've really been pumping him here at Mobile. Now, obviously, he's an Alabama transfer, went to Cincinnati, did quite well. But he's a guy they've really been kind of pumping up with the media stuff, and he's a great kid. I think he's more of a change of pace type of back. I don't think he's a primary. He's more of a third down tandem type of guy. So I think that's just something to kind of realize that he's going to be a guy, I think, available in the 4th or 5th round that your team takes, and he becomes part of a committee. The other guy there is
How's our UTSA guy?
He's been okay.
Sonoris,
Yeah, he's been okay. I really haven't To be honest with you, I haven't noticed him. So if that tells you
Okay.
anything, there's a lot of guys that, and especially on the Detroit side, because I did defense with him yesterday. I did offense today, but again, I had to bail out because of the rain. So I missed quite a few guys. I've got a few on there. Damian Pierce, though, the Florida running back, really popped. That dude's got some burst. He likes contact. I think he's a guy who is very impressive, and I think could do well. So they've all done quite well for themselves. Honorable mention there as well is Jeremiah Hall, the OU fullback for the national team. Had a big drop today in red zone where he was wide open and dropped one. Obviously, it was also pouring rain, so but has been great in pass protection. Has been great hitting some blocks. As far as old school fullbacks goes, I think he's a guy who looked pretty well and is good for what the Jets do with their offense. So that's a thing. Let's see, wide receivers. Out of the negatives on the the only loser on the running back group was Haskins, and that's only because he came up with an ankle injury. He looked great in the first practice. He was obviously the best runner there. He was hitting the hole, and he was the only guy that was really like breaking it down the field. Could get to the next level and then had that burst. Obviously the most talented running back here, but came up lame with an ankle injury.
So you're telling me the
home.
Dolphins will not draft him?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm telling you. That
okay.
is exactly
Just
what I'm telling you.
Make that clear.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so wide receivers. I've got a couple of names here for you. Christian Watson, the North Dakota State kid. Big guy, 6'5". He has been the first running back or the first wide receiver in every drill for the national team every time. And that's something that I always look for. Who's the guy who goes first? And it's always him. He's always with the starting group. He's always the primary receiver, and he has been the alpha. Yeah, and he has been very impressive. I've really liked his work out there. Looks smooth in drills, nice catching radius. Has a chance to really rise up boards and be one of those mid-round receivers who could really turn into something. Alec Pierce, the Cincinnati kid. He's one of those guys now. He's a number 2 receiver, but all he does, he's a Cooper Kupp type. All he does is he catches that first down. He makes that next play. He moves the chains, right? I'm not sure he's going to be a big game breaker, but he's that guy. A couple of game breakers in the wide receiver group. Romeo Doubs out of Nevada. He's a little raw, but man, he's got speed. And when he can get loose, he really, really does well. High pointed a couple of passes, did well on that, and also Calvin Austin III for the American team. He's got zip, man. You get the ball in his hands, and he ran some great routes today. Really put some cornerbacks on roller skates and looked good. So love that for that group. Again, the only thing I've got negative on wide receivers, it looked like Braylon Sanders, the Ole Miss kid, came up with a little bit of a lame ankle at the end of practice. I honestly, it's my only real criticism there. Most of the wide receivers have been okay. I would say the Lions, the American team wide receivers have looked better, but I think that's because of the difference in coverage. The Jets are playing a lot of zone defense, and so it's hard for those guys to really kind of catch and run with the ball because the defense is designed to let you catch it and then make the tackle. And then those quarterbacks trying to fit it into those windows, it just hasn't quite clicked all the way. So, but a group that has clicked, and that is the tight ends for both teams, have been impressive. This tight end class.
Yeah, I apologize. We're breaking up bad time, big time. So I have not offered much content, but
no, you're good. You
we'll
still got
see
me?
What happens.
Still got me?
You riff.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah. If you got me, just keep jumping in. Okay.
All right.
Wide receiver group there. Tight ends. The tight end class here is top notch. Headlined by Trey McBride. He looked amazing. The guy looks like a wide receiver out there. Made a couple of catches where he went up between 2 defenders and brought the ball down. just impressive as heck. So I've been super impressed with that guy. Also, Jeremy
Who was
Ruckett.
that?
Trey McBride, the Colorado State tight end.
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask you. Okay, that was one of my questions. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Continue.
If he isn't.
I'm sorry, we're having so many communication issues.
No, you're good. Everything's good on my end. It might be on your end. If you want to reconnect, you can.
Keep going.
Okay, good. Trey McBride, if he's not a New York Jet, I'll be shocked, quite honestly, because he's the perfect player for that system. He is a absolute true, move tight end, a receiving tight end, a guy who's going to catch, 80, 90 passes, just like he did last year at Colorado State. Impressive kid. I'm real impressed with him. Probably what's funny is he's the shortest guy of the group. I thought he was.
Yeah, I'm going to try to reconnect. Things are not going well.
All right.
Back.
All right. He's going to jump off of there and come back. He's the shortest guy of the group, and so I thought, oh, man, he must be like 6'2" or something. He's not. He's actually 6'4". It's just all these other guys are like 6'5" and bigger. So, yeah, it's just kind of amazing. The other guy in that group, Jeremy Ruckett, the Ohio State kid, damned with the faint praise of better pro than college player, just because he wasn't used in college very much. Now you're going to get to see this view. Fun. So yeah, he's just one of those guys. But I mean, made some great plays. Is really good in the blocking team. I think I also saw him talking with with Joe Douglas of the Jets GM. So that's a guy I think could be in the mix there for the Jets as well. If they drafted 2 tight ends, that wouldn't be a bad thing. Darren, do we have you back, sir?
I think we do. Let's see how this works.
All right, you got me a little better now? No?
Hopefully.
No? Okay, cool. Here, I can adjust some things here. Yeah. All right, let me get this here. All right, so I'll just keep...
Storm. Here we go.
Yeah. All right, there he goes. Is that better?
All right.
All right, here
Let's
we
see
go.
what happens.
All right, there we go. Okay, so, yeah.
You just keep riffing.
Yeah, Isaiah Likely, also the other tight end from Coastal Carolina for the American team, really stood out. Now, he's a little raw. He's a little more raw than McBride or Ruckett, but I think he's been very impressive. But, yeah, like I said, Darren, I could totally see the Jets drafting Trey McBride in the 2nd round and Jeremy Ruckett in the 4th round and be very happy with their tight end for the next 10 years or 5 years. Thoughts?
Yeah, you can't go 10 years anymore. You got to go 5 years.
Yeah,
if that.
That's a good point. I would agree with that. Okay.
Well, hang on. I got a call. Jason Morrow's calling me right now. Hang on. I'll answer that real fast.
Shut your damn mouth.
Are you still in the league, sir? Oh, no. He's not.
No, he's watching the Spurs basketball, which is what he always wanted to do in the first place. Oh, damn it. You suck, Darren. All right.
I'm still having issues. Oh, no. You just keep riffing.
Okay, cool.
I'll pop in when I can.
All right. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what we got. Probably just some kind of wire somewhere.
It's probably on my end with the wonderful Dallas ice storm that's going on now.
Yeah, that's a good point. Oh, you know what? I think I do know what it is. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. I think it's just wire connections. Okay. Let's talk some offensive line then. So I have a guy who's on both the good and the bad list. Actually, I have a couple of guys like that. So on the good side, Trevor Penning is a guy who came into this as basically one of the best tackles here, offensive tackles here, out of Northern Iowa. He's got a nasty streak a mile long, man. That dude has finished people this week. However, he's also looked a little stiff.
Lots of pancakes?
Oh yeah. He's made an international house of pancakes. But he's also been beat a few times. He's also been he looks a little stiff at times. He hasn't quite lived up to that because, coming into the process, I was really more high on him than a guy like maybe Charles Cross, because Cross is a finesse type of left tackle. Now, granted, he's a left tackle, but he's a David Bakhtiari type, right? A finesse guy who's gonna, who's gonna protect you on the blind side, but gives you really nothing in the run game. Well, Penning is a guy who maybe could have done both. Well, now having actually evaluated him here and seen him in that kind of system, what I really think is he's a really good right tackle. And I think he's a late first, early second round guy, which is where most people had him. So that's
I'll take him.
Yeah, I was going to say he's not bad. So he's good and bad. So another guy on that list has been the mountain of a man, David Faalele. No, you're good. David Faalele.
Our official prospect of the show, right?
Yes, 6'8", and he said he weighed 405 at the official weigh-in here.
Oh, Aaron Gibson.
He is okay. So here's the thing about it. On the one side,
he can actually move, though.
He can actually move, and if he gets his mitts on you, dude, it is church. Like, he wrecks some dudes. There was a couple times where he went up against. So this was cool. I got to talk to My J. Sanders quite a bit, and My J. Sanders and him went all the way back to the IMG Academy back in 2016. So back in the day, right? And they've gone against each other. They're buddies. They train together and all of this stuff. So, because I asked him about, going up against a big old dude and what are you going to do with that, right? And what he basically said was, he's like, yeah, like I've been going up against him for a long time. Like he wins some and I win some, and that's exactly what happened in practice. There's times where, in fact, the Kansas outside linebacker who has been playing some defensive end in this jet scheme, name. Oh, I'm on the wrong page. Hold on. I almost have the whole roster memorized, but not quite everybody. Kyron Johnson. I just want to get it right. So he's not very big, and he lined up on the outside playing that wide 9 position, and he came screaming off the edge, and Faalele just whiffed on that type of thing. And the bend isn't quite where you would want it to be. I mean, dude, what are you going to do? He's 6'8" and 400 pounds. But again, if he gets his mitts on you, it's over. It's church. So impressive, but mixed bag. I would say the same thing about Bernhard Rahman. Lot of technique issues there, tons of upside, but just not quite where I would want it to be. Impressive guy, but just not quite ready for the late first round buzz that I think he was getting at one point. I think he's a guy who's going to need some technique time. Maybe he can play swing tackle for you for a year. Could be that third tackle if you play, because he's got 2 years of experience as tight end, and play that role and then transition into being your starting left tackle or right tackle, but not a guy you're going to plug and play. Okay. Let's see. The other tackle out of that group, Darian Kennard has impressed me because coming into the process, I thought he was a pure guard. I'd seen several people that said, hey, I evaluated more as a guard than a tackle, blah, blah, blah. Well, he's played tackle impressively. In fact, at the end of the very first practice, one of the things that they did, Deuce Staley, who's acting as the head coach for the Lions, Deuce. Yes, exactly.
Do you want to explain that real quick? Because the head coaches are not allowed to actually coach; they turn it over to everybody else.
Yeah, they have.
Is that my understanding? If you can hear me.
Yeah. No, I got you loud and clear. So, So the deal is that they're trying to let other coaches have a chance, and so they're letting some minority coaches, and they've got some HBS. Why can't I say that? Historically black college guys.
HBC.
Yeah, there you go. Also on the coaching staffs, and so they get an opportunity. obviously we got some to talk about that with the Flores deal in a little while, so we'll get there. But yeah, so the head coaches like Robert Saleh is just out there walking around. Dan Campbell was on the broadcast today, and so those guys are really kind of running the practices and doing all that stuff. So one of the things that happened was at the end of the first Lions practice, they called out two guys and they basically let the offense kind of nominate who they wanted, and so they took Kennard up against Jermaine Johnson in a one-on-one battle. In just a square off drill where everybody's standing around, watching and cheering and doing the whole thing, right? And in the first rep, Kennard buried him. And in the second rep, Jermaine Johnson swatted the hands away and got past him. So they basically split. And it was great, and everybody was fired up. And, I mean, it was a cool way to run practice. We'll talk more about practice in just a little bit, too, because I do want to address a couple of things on that front and just kind of what it's been like. But let's fire through a few more prospects here. Also on the good/bad list was Zion Johnson. Zion Johnson, as a pure guard, is maybe the best player here in Mobile. Like, as a guard, every time he's out there, he contains his guy. He makes his block. He's at the next level. Again, another guy that I think plug-and-play, second-round guard who plays for you for the next 10 years. He's a little bit David DeCastro, and I love it. However, he also tried to play some at center, and they tried to play him at center early on. Not his jam. Snaps weren't great. I just don't think he's a center. I mean, so that. Speaking of, and then one more guard, Ed Ingram, the LSU kid. He's the only guy that could contain his teammate Neil Farrell at defensive tackle all the entire game. So, yeah, he's very impressive, very good strength. Definitely worth the second, third round grade that he's got on him. Okay. One more center, Cole Strange, Tennessee Chattanooga. Actually got to do a nice interview with him on WNSP. Great kid, competent center, which in this class is saying something. A little light in the butt. 304 is what he listed at, but he gets pushed around a little bit. But if you were in a zone blocking scheme where you're not having a nose tackle head up on you or you get help, kid's got good movement skills, great at snapping, all of that. Okay. That is all I have for the offense. So, Mr. Boyd, before we switch to defense, let's shift gears a little bit. And let's talk a little bit about just practice in general and kind of what we've seen out there. And we probably should just talk some overall NFL news. Then we'll come back. We'll do the defensive side, winners and losers, and then we'll talk some rumors, and then we'll get on down the road. How's that sound?
Well, I'm trying to hang in there. We keep cutting in and out, but we'll deal with it.
All right. Well, maybe it's the ice, maybe it's not, but we'll come right back and we will talk about practice in general and some news and notes from around the NFL here on the Sports Narrative Show. Is the music clear, Darren? Or is it choppy too?
Yeah, I can hear it. If you can hear me,
yeah,
I can
no.
hear the music.
I got you loud and clear. You're coming through fine. So.
Okay.
I think
it must be on my end with the ice storm.
Yeah, it must be. I don't know. It might be on my end too. You can't ever tell these days. Like I said, it could be a weird wire. Yeah. Let's see. Make sure all that's plugged in there. All right. Oh, you know what?
I get about 5 seconds of you, and then I get 10 seconds of silence. And
oh well, crap.
Yeah.
And that could just be
out.
could be Wi-Fi here too. That's all good. Well, we'll push along here. Let's talk about practice in general. So you can really tell a lot about an NFL team based on their practice, and I think that these two teams with relatively new head coaches, it's okay. Like, it's not great. It's not the greatest practices I've ever seen. The Jets spent the first practice, they spent 30 minutes of their 2-hour practice stretching and doing yoga. Okay, cool. I mean, it's good. I'm glad you're not getting injuries. Then they did some install, and then like there just wasn't a lot of juice to any of it until the very end when they went to team drills, right? Um, so then the Lions, conversely, basically started, and especially today, they started practice with a fist fight. Like they basically had everybody line up in the middle of the field and just go to war, like just one-on-one drills, just full-on fight, and then everybody broke up into drills, and so everybody had a little more juice and was ready to go. Then they did some install, and then they came back and they did team practices. However, I was saying this earlier to the WNSP guys. It's hard to tell sometimes if it's a really good defensive play or if it's just a really bad a really bad defensive play or a good offensive play. And that was one of the things that was harder to tell with the Lions. With the Jets, it was pretty obvious. Like
I'm gonna bail out and try to reconnect. Things are getting real bad for
all
us.
right.
Hang on.
Well, I see the rain's coming in there.
Keep going.
You're part of the world too. Yep. Absolutely. Okay, so all right, so let's keep going with that. So like with the Lions, it was hard to tell if it was offense or defense, right? But with the Jets, you could tell everybody it was either a completely missed assignment, so it was obvious that it was blown, or it was or it was a really good defensive play, a bad offensive play, whatever. So interesting, not real great pace. If I had to say anything, I would say that it was just a mixed bag that, yeah. All right, there you are, Darren. I would say it was just a mixed bag mostly. So, it is what it is. All right. So the practices are at the campus of South Alabama, so it's a nice big stadium. It's all nice. They've got concessions and cool stuff. Like I said, if you have the means to get down here, I do highly recommend it. So that's a big part of it. But yeah, I think it's like I said, I think it's hard to tell anything from these practices, and that's something that I wasn't expecting coming in because I thought that it would be you can either tell it's really great or it's not, and yeah, it's been tough to tell. So okay, there you are, Darren.
Let's see if I'm back.
All right,
Hopefully this will be better.
I certainly hope so because it's time for some NFL news and notes, and I need you on this wall.
All right.
All right, let's do this. Well, let's start with.
So far, it's not looking as good. I don't know. Go ahead, bring it. Let's see what we can hear.
All right. Well, let's talk Tom Brady retiring, and I'll let you go. Tom Brady, go.
Tom Brady. Well, it's great that he's not in the AFC East anymore, and of course he is the GOAT. So you and I get to breathe easily now that he's not in the AFC East, and obviously he's amazing. Even though we both, I can't say hate with my new policy in life, but we despise him with passion.
And look, I mean, it leaked out last week. I think the biggest sigh of relief for the whole week was Adam Schefter, who actually got to be right and get his credibility back after announcing it. So yeah, I think he's pretty happy with that whole thing. But yeah, I think it was a it leaked out and he basically denied it. He got a call from the Bucks. They worked out the money situation, and then they said, "Okay, let's get this done." That's how it seemed to come down from me.
He was due a $15 million bonus on the 4th, I think.
Right, and I have a feeling.
Sounds like my kind of job.
Yeah, I have a feeling that money's going to get paid out in some way, shape, or form, and it is what it is. So there you go. So yeah, he hangs it up, and you look at that class that's coming up with Big Ben and.
Whoa, we have breaking news, by the way, if you want it.
Ooh, hit me.
Jim Harbaugh has informed Michigan he will stay next year.
Oh.
From Adam Schefter.
Okay, well, let's go to that news next because That's a fascinating
Well,
question.
now that means I'm stuck with the kid from San Francisco or Kellen Moore. So we're going a whole different direction now.
Yeah.
That was breaking news.
Okay, let's talk about that for a sec. So Harbaugh does an interview on National Signing Day. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, why would you? I mean, you might as well just kick Michigan right in the nuts. Like, I don't understand what that's about. But then you announce after the National Signing Day thing is done, then you announce that you're coming back. Like, I don't get it, man. I don't understand what's happening there. That seems insane. Um,
Well, you know what's happening. And Michigan's like, how much do you want? 11 million? No problem. Here's your new contract.
Dude, I don't think it has anything to do with money. I think this is everything to do with maybe he wanted full control. Maybe he want. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you're coming to the pros, go to the pros, right? It just feels
Well,
weird.
we knew he wasn't going to come to the Dolphins after that lawsuit yesterday, and then Stephen Ross is like, well, I can't take it away from Michigan. Even though I feel very confident if he actually went through with the Minnesota interview that he would be the next Dolphins coach, because Stephen Ross would be like, okay, no problem. You want $15 million a year? No problem. Whatever it takes.
And that's the thing I thought too, and I think I said that the other day is, Stephen Ross is going to say, well, if Michigan can't have you, then I will, right? Then no one else can, right? It's that type of thing. Just bizarro though.
Yeah.
Just that whole decision-making process, and it makes you wonder how long it's going to be before he gets offered another job, or if if people are going to be like, I don't know. I mean, look how long it took Josh Daniels to get offered another job, and now he's in Vegas. So let's talk about the teams that have been hired. Obviously, the Giants getting Brian Daboll, apparently before they even interviewed Brian Flores, although I have my doubts. We'll talk about that in a sec. Denver gets Hackett and an Aaron Rodgers lottery ticket that they're hoping to cash in. Chicago takes Matt Eberflus, and the other offensive,
You're beloved.
the other offensive coordinator from Green Bay. So that whole offensive staff's been cleaned out, and and I think Eberflus is going to be a good coach. I think that's kind of a weird hire, but okay, cool. And then Josh McDaniels and a Patriots exec goes to the Raiders. Well, here's what I've heard so far. Rumors. And I'll give our buddies at Walter Football credit on this, which is there we go. Let me lighten that up a little bit. So around the league, Chicago's been praised for hiring Ryan Poles from Kansas City. And then him hiring his guy in Eberflus. The Giants praised for hiring getting the Buffalo assistant GM and then bringing in Daboll. It's continuity. You got two guys that talk to each other. Like it's good continuity there. Good for the organization. I've heard a lot of flack about McDaniels in Vegas, not because of the McDaniels Patriots guy hire, but because you had a team.
Have a cough button.
Nah, you're good. You had a team.
Oh, no, I lost you again.
Oh, well, hang on. We're getting to McDaniels. I want you to weigh in on this. We had a team that won 10 games last year, made the playoffs with, Bisaccia head coach, and you fire your GM and you do all this stuff. And, they had made some moves. Oh, actually, and I got something on the Vikings now. They had made some moves, but you basically took a 10-win team and you blew out the entire coaching staff. And that just seems weird. And I think a lot of scouts around the league have said, what are they doing there? I mean, the Raiders are a mess anyway, but that seems weird. What do you think? McDaniels?
We're breaking up again.
Oh, all right. Well, Josh McDaniels, Raiders.
Oh, no.
All right. Yeah, we'll come back.
I believe you said McDaniels on the Raiders.
Yes.
Well, if you can hear me, the
Yep.
only content I have to offer is, does he stay more than 72 hours like he did with the Colts? If you can hear me.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I got you loud and clear. Yeah. So we're all good. Okay, so that leaves 4 hiring still out there. You've got the Minnesota job, which obviously just got tossed. Harbaugh just got tossed on that.
Reconnected. Maybe.
All right. Apparently, the Vikings are now zeroing in on the Rams offensive coordinator, Kevin O'Connell. That's the latest rumor from
breaking news then.
Yeah. Literally
better than the breaking news I gave you.
Yeah, literally NFL trade rumors just popped up with that. So, you've got the Miami job, which again, I guess the only front runner in their second interview with Mike McCarthy is supposed to be coming up. The wonder kid, Yale kid from. Oh yeah, sorry, not Mike McCarthy. That would be breaking news too.
No. We broke up again.
Mike McDaniel, the San Francisco offensive coordinator, which, I mean, the last time you hired a Yale guy, it didn't work out well for the Cowboys, so I'm not sure, but maybe. You've got the Saints.
Yeah, I have no content to offer because everything's cutting out. I apologize.
That's all good. You've got the Saints.
All right, I'm going to let you riff.
All right.
I'm gonna bounce.
All right, cool.
Sorry, sir.
Nah, you're good. No worries. Yep, just couldn't quite. I don't think we just quite have the Wi-Fi connection for any of that. So, all right, we'll keep rolling with that. No worries. All right. Sorry about that. All right, let's just keep riffing here for a little bit. Okay, so, all right, good deal. Okay, so back to it here on the Sports Narrative Network. My name is Jeff Bowers. You can follow us on Twitter at Sports Narrative. These other jobs, again, the Saints. I kind of expect Dennis Allen to get that job. Them to hire from within. It looks like they're kind of shifting gears a little bit, and before they thought, okay, let's go get a big name quarterback, and we got Sean Payton. Now that he's gone, it looks like they're going to go into a full rebuild. And then Jacksonville, and who knows what the hell Jacksonville's doing. The latest reports there was, and we talked about this the last time on our Senior Bowl preview show, about how Byron Leftwich was kind of making a power play and was trying to get his own GM in there and get Balky fired. Not Balky from Perfect Strangers, by the way, Trent Balky. But although Balky from Perfect Strangers might be a better GM than Trent Balky is. Just saying. Okay. Quickly, let's run through some defensive players here real quick. Winners and losers that I've had from the first couple of days, and then we will get on out of here. Couple of guys on the defensive line. I have to say, the biggest standout for me thus far has been Travis Jones, the defensive tackle from UConn. He has been an absolute beast. Both in the run and with some push in the pass game. I think he's helped himself maybe more than anybody here in Mobile. I think he has a chance to be a day 2 pick now. Perrion Winfrey, the OU kid, also real leader out there. That's the thing I've really liked about him, is that he's not only been he's been vocal as well and really like picking people up and all of that. His teammate Isaiah Thomas also has been pretty good. And then Jesse Luketto, the Penn State Luketa, sorry. The Penn State outside linebacker, defensive end. Real nice kid. Obviously, he was the other guy opposite of Ebikete, and has looked good, has put on some weight, did pretty well at his run defense as well. I think he has a chance to step out from the shadow of Ebikete and really help himself there. Also, let's see. Obviously, we talked about this before. Jermaine Johnson, the Florida State kid, has been an absolute monster out here. If he doesn't go in the first round, I'll be shocked, and somebody will get a nice steal there. Neil Farrell, the LSU defensive tackle, has been a monster, as has John Ridgeway out of Arkansas. Just beasts up front, the defensive tackle position, and they've looked really, really good. Linebackers. Oh, by the way, on the negative side, so Logan Hall, the 6'6" D tackle from Houston, mixed bag. There's times where he is dominant and he can get inside and he can do that, but his pad level's too high. There's times where people get underneath him. He gets moved. he's not. I don't really see that burst. There's a couple plays where he ran a slant, shot a gap through the slant with a slant run, and was just in the backfield and wrapped a guy up and was a monster. And then there's times where he kind of gets blown out. So I don't know, mixed bag for him a little bit. The other one was my Jay Sanders out of Cincinnati. I mean, look, he says all the right things, and he wants to be good at the pass rush, and he works at the run defense because he's great as a pass rusher, and he wants to be more than that. We got a great interview with him that said exactly that. The problem is that that lower half on him, the legs are a little thin. He doesn't really have a lot of butt to anchor down with, and it just doesn't quite hit. So I think he's probably a second-round guy who's going to be a situational pass rusher and then has a chance to, develop more, hopefully. Linebackers, Chad Muma has been everything that everybody told me he would be. Leading the defense, pointing people, getting people in the right places. I was also really impressed with JoJo Doman, the Nebraska kid. Flying around, looks the part, looks really great. I think those two guys were the starters there on the national team. On the other side, Aaron Hanford, the A&M linebacker, real nice run and hit kind of linebacker, looked really good for the Lions practice today. Let's see, cornerbacks. Nobody really stood out on the Jets squad because they're playing a system that doesn't really feature cornerbacks. I will say Joshua Williams, the Fayetteville State kid, coming from the small school, looked the part. It didn't look too big for him. He didn't look overwhelmed. So those were good. And let's see, the only thing I would say in the negative on that was that the Pitt kid. Oh man, I lost his name. It just jumped out of my head. I have too much happening. Damari Mathis, little grabby for me. I think that's going to may cause him problems at the next level. He was a little too grabby. Cam Taylor-Britt, the kind of do everything guy out of Nebraska for the Lions squad, because he's played corner, he's played safety, he's played linebacker, he's played all the positions that you would want him to. He's a big, tall kid, loves contact, coming downhill. He has a chance to be one of those Swiss Army knife pieces, kind of like the same guy praising on the other side, Jalen Petrie, the Baylor kid. Played in the slot, played safety, played back. I love this kid. He's been really, really good. His counterpart, the other Baylor safety there, J.T. Woods, has also been really good, mostly because he's been playing the free safety role, and he got matched up with Vernon McKinley. Well, Vernon McKinley was a late add here. He showed up to Mobile very late and has really looked good. You could tell he's kind of swimming. J.T. Woods was kind of telling him what to do on every play, but he's playing down in the box, which I don't think is his best position. I think he's more of a free safety type, but they had him playing down in the box, playing that, slot safety type of role, and he did okay. I mean, for a guy who just showed up here, I think he did as best as he could be expected. I had him both on the good and the bad list. Also on the bad list for the DBs was Roger McCreary. And it's a guy who, at one point you saw some early, maybe first round buzz on him. Well, the problem is he measured with 29-inch arms, little tiny T-Rex arms. And I think the minimum for a cornerback to be successful in the NFL is 31-inch arms. And does the 2 inches make a difference? Yes. Yes, it does. In a game of inches, it matters because you can't quite reach that pass. You can't quite do that one play, and it makes a huge difference. So it's just really unfortunate. And, I think that is something that really hurt him just from the measurables. He looks good out there. They had him playing in the slot, and I think slot corner might be his best position. But, that just really hurt him. Okay, final segment here. Let's talk real quick about some draft rumors, some things that are happening. Just kind of scatter shooting here. One, and I was hoping Darren would be on for this, there was talk about Devontae Parker getting traded last trade deadline. That is still in the works, perhaps, as they have Jalen Waddle, and they're trying to rebuild that core, and they're kind of tired of Devontae Parker getting hurt all the time. Speaking of wide receivers, I think you're going to see, I've heard a lot of buzz about Drake London, the USC kid who's 6'5" and is a monster, coming off the injury, of course, the knee injury. But there's a chance he gets into the top 10. I've heard that the Jets like him at 10. They also like Traylon Burks, the Arkansas kid. These wide receivers are going to move. They're going to move around a lot. I think you're going to see somebody fall in love with a guy like Garrett Wilson, who's got the incredible ability with the ball in his hands, and it's a little bit similar to what happened last year in the draft, right? Where you saw Kadarius Toney, one of those little joystick, get the ball in his hands type of guys, go well before a guy like Elijah Moore, who a lot of people had evaluated as a better pure wide receiver. And obviously time will tell with that type of thing. So some people are going to love Garrett Wilson and his ability to make plays. Some people are going to want the big-bodied wide receiver in Drake London. Some people are going to want both, and that might be what Traylon Burks turns into, because he's kind of done both. He's a big-body guy, but also he's got that yak yardage, run after catch type of stuff that is impressive. Okay. A couple other things. Another name to talk about in this top 10, guys who could slip into the top 10 that you may not think could be there. As I mentioned, Drake London, Traylon Burks. I think Sauce Gardner has a chance to be the number one corner off the board. You've seen Derek Stingley back there forever, and you've obviously talked about him with the injury concerns and all of that. I think there's a chance he slides because of that. So that's one. I think Tyler Smith, who is a tackle out of Tulsa. Some people think should be play guard. Some people think he has the skills to play tackle. Some people think he might be in the first round, and he might be after those top, after Evan Neal and Ekwonu out of North Carolina State go off the board. Dude, Tyler Smith might be the next tackle off the board. Some team falls in love with him. Some offensive line coach says, man, that's the guy I want. He's got all the pure skills. Charles Cross is a finesse guy. Trevor Penning might just be a right tackle. Bernard might be a right tackle. Falalele is definitely a right tackle. So you need a left tackle. That might be a guy who goes that high, and that seems bizarro. But stranger things have happened. It's the NFL draft. You just never know. So that's one. And then Jordan Davis, the big D tackle out of Georgia. I think he's a guy that could go much higher than you've seen him on some boards. I could see him as high as 8 to Atlanta and all that type of stuff. So let's finish up by talking about a mock draft. Just before Mobile, Dane Brugler put out his 2-round mock, and Dane is pretty well plugged in on a lot of things, and I really enjoy his coverage on The Athletic. He has Ekwonu going number 1 overall. Again, wouldn't shock me. Evan Neal is not a guy who is without flaws. So if Jacksonville decides to go pass rusher, I could see it. What I heard somebody say about Ekwonu, which I absolutely love, which is he has the feet of a lightweight and the punch of a heavyweight. And man, that sounds pretty damn good. I think Ekwonu goes in the top 4. I think with the Jets and what you heard them say about Mekhi Becton, where they kind of put him on notice of saying he's going to be competing with George Fant for the left tackle spot, I think you go get a guy like Ekwonu and you say, let's go. Because if he can't play tackle, he can play guard. And you plug the right guard spot and you go, and then you have this guy as an insurance marker in case Becton gets injured. Absolutely. I think the Jets may be locked in at Ekwonu at 4 if he doesn't go at number 1. Hutchinson 2 seems obvious. The Chris Long comp for me just seems way too much like that's what's happening. And then 3. Now, he has Kayvon Thibodeau. There's a lot of talk that Thibodeau is sliding down some boards. People are worried about the run-stuffing ability. They're worrying about his love of the game and whether or not he's more about his brand than he is football. I I don't know. I mean, that's something I think this evaluation process will bear out. But I think those three guys plus Evan Neal feel like your top four of your top five, right? Now, who's the other one of the five? I don't know. Who should it be? Kyle Hamilton, the safety out of Notre Dame. Will it be? I don't know. Could I see Houston take Kyle Hamilton at 3? 100%. Add him to a team like that, and you've got him and Reed as your safeties. You're ready to go. He plays safety, he plays linebacker, he plays everything for you. Is that what they go? I don't know. Do they go Thibodeau? I mean, Thibodeau is getting a lot of comparisons to Whitney Merciless, who they just had. So that's a possibility for sure. By the way, I didn't even mention the Houston coaching job. Boy, that's been quiet. Probably why. With the Jets, again, I think you've got cornerback that could be in play there. I think I could see them go corner and wide receiver there. But what corner is that? Or do they value corner enough? Because that's the thing about the system and all of it. I mean, look, right now, think to yourself, name me the two starting cornerbacks for the San Francisco 49ers that were just in the NFC Championship game. You probably can't. And that's because the way they play that system is just not something that emphasizes cornerback talent. You're playing that zone coverage. And so I think that that's a fascinating thing to see if the Jets end up waiting and taking a corner in the second round and do it that way. I could definitely see that as a possibility. By the way, the correct answer there was Ambry Thomas and, mostly Josh Norman, but, you had kind of a mixture of guys there. But, yeah, it's K'Wan Williams. Like, that was a mixed bag group, man. So, yeah, I think that's something where I wouldn't be shocked to see them. I mean, I think edge rusher is something they would want to go with. Whether that's going to be Karlaftis, whether it would be Thibodeau if he slides, whatever. The Giants there, I think, are going to go tackle, especially if Evan Neal gets to them. I think the Panthers could also go tackle. He has him taking Charles Cross at 6. That seems to make way too much sense to not happen. Then the Giants coming back. Then I think they're going to go best player available. I think they could take Karlaftis. I think they could take Ojabo. I think they could take Kyle Hamilton, although they don't really need a safety. I think they could take a wide receiver there as well, and maybe that's a place where Drake London lands, like we just talked about. So, because obviously Galladay has been a bit of a disappointment there. So I think the Giants are going to go best player available. I think the Falcons, depending on what they do with Matt Ryan at 8, is this the first place a quarterback goes? Do the Panthers look at a quarterback at 6? Or are they going to ride or die with Sam Darnold one more year and then go into next year's quarterback class? If the Falcons stay with Matt Ryan, do you draft his backup now or do you wait? I mean, look, this was a team that was damn near in the playoffs at one point. And with, nothing on offense. And, you've got the Ridley move that could be made if they end up trading Calvin Ridley. So now maybe they're sitting on pick 8 and pick 10 as a possibility. So maybe they look wide receiver, quarterback, something to that effect there. The Broncos, big need there. I mean, obviously, this pick may be the Packers' pick if they end up going for Aaron Rodgers. And if that's the case, I think it could be a linebacker. If not, it could be a linebacker if it's Denver, right? The Jets at 10, again, back on the clock. A lot of talk about this being a wide receiver, whether it's London or Burks, or they trade it for, they make a trade for one of the wide receivers that's out there. I think that's all to be determined. The Washington now Commanders, by the way, which, look, here's what I think about Commanders, by the way, is when Washington football team was announced, we all hated it. And then 2 years later, we were all like, oh my gosh, they should just stick with Washington football team. It's really cool. When you hear something initially, you're going to want to reject it. So everyone says, oh, Commanders, that sucks, blah, blah, blah. Give it some time. Let's see what happens. Let's see the merchandising. Let's see where they go with it. Let's just let it unfold organically. I don't think there's any reason to rush that thing. Vikings at 12. Cornerback seems like the obvious pick there. However, they also might be in the market for a quarterback if they decide to jettison Kirk Cousins. So is this a place where a guy like Carson Strong ends up? The Browns, seemingly wide receiver. I think they'll take best available. I think Garrett Wilson seems like a really good fit there. That just seems like to make too much sense for Cleveland and a hometown guy and all of that. Baltimore, they need edge rushers. They need maybe D-line if Brandon Williams leaves. They've got a bunch of free agents in that defense. I think this is a place where Jordan Davis, if he's still here, Wyatt perhaps, something like that. And then the 3 Eagles picks broken up by only one guy with the Chargers. Do you go quarterback here? I mean, you just Jalen Hurts just had ankle surgery today. Do you bring in a guy? Do you wait? And it's going to be fascinating to see. Like you said, Dane has them taking Linderbaum, Andrew Booth, and George Karlaftis. Yeah, I could see that, and all 3 of those immediately plug in and start. Linderbaum is your center for the next. He becomes your next Travis Kelce and takes over. Andrew Booth plugs in opposite. On the opposite side, takes the Steven Nelson spot, and I think it would be great in that system. And then Karlaftis, obviously, you replace Derek Barnett, who they let walk, and you put him in there, and I think you get an extra bump because his pass rush ability is impressive. So all of that. By the way, in between there, you had the Chargers, probably looking at offensive line, I would think, and you have the Saints, who knows? Like I said, is this a place where Matt Corral ends? The only quarterback we haven't talked about yet. The Steelers, quarterback, seemingly like a thing. Patriots, I could see them go wide receiver. I could see them go linebacker. He has them taking linebacker here. Raiders, it's Josh McDaniels. Who the hell knows? Maybe he'll draft Tebow again. Cardinals, and then the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys need help on the offensive line. I think if a guy like Kenyon Green or Linderbaum fall to this spot, man, that just seems to make too much room. Kenyon Green, I said this earlier about Zane Johnson, but he does have those DeCastro vibes of a guy who could play some multiple positions, could be very versatile, and I think the Cowboys really value that type of thing. Jermaine Johnson, we mentioned before, goes to Miami, down the draft board a little bit. So, yeah, I think it's fascinating there. By the way, in the second round, he has the Jets taking Bernard Rahman, guard tackle, because he didn't have him taking that earlier. And then, of course, Trey McBride, as we had mentioned before. So, if you walked away with those first 4 picks with Stingley, who he had taking it at 4, and Garrett Wilson. Now, I might prefer that to be Treylon Burks and maybe Thibodeau. And then in that second round, now when I get down to that second grouping, now I'm looking at McBride, and then who's the next cornerback available? Maybe Elam, if he slid that far. The Kyer Elam out of Florida. So there you go. I think, obviously if McDuffie made it that far, but he has him in the first round now. So that's it. I have rambled long enough about the Senior Bowl. Thanks for listening. Thanks for checking us out. This will be posted up to YouTube in just a little while, as we had breaking news earlier, and by now you already know about it. So, for the great Darren Boyd, for all of us out there, please follow the Sports Narrative on TikTok, on Twitter here at Sports Narrative, and of course on our Facebook page, the Sports Narrative, and YouTube, of course, which is where this stupid thing will be. So, live from Mobile, Alabama in the rain. Please, everyone, stay safe. Stay so very warm inside the weather. Let's hope the Texas power grid holds up long enough for me to get back home. And until then, let's all have a fun rest of the Senior Bowl. We will have more stuff for you there. So, until then, be safe, be well, and have a great week.